Hello everyone. I think we can all agree that Rus is an extremely strong civilization right now. They literally never have to mine gold. They get it all passively from gathering from their food sources, from their hunting cabins, from their Age 3 landmark, the High Trade House. They have horse archers, which are extremely hard to deal with once you have a significant mass. And then they also have warrior monks, which fly across the map in early Castle Age, snag all the relics before you even have a chance. So they have a lot of strengths. But what if I told you there was a Jeanne d'Arc build that completely shut down everything they're trying to do and you can get yourself a relatively easy win? Well, that's the video we have today. This is based on a video I made a few days ago where we spectated a player by the name of Mr. Tomato, who's the first person I saw using this strategy with Jeanne d'Arc. He was facing against Jushi's Legacy, but today this is my gameplay. I've adopted the strategy and we are against the Rus. So let's jump right into things here and let's see if we can figure out how to defeat this very powerful civilization on the ladder right now. You can see I have put all of my villagers immediately onto food, killed a couple of the sheep just so that they're not wasting their time with that animation, and then go and build one house with Jeanne d'Arc relatively close to the town center because it's not French. You don't need to have as much care when you're base building with Jeanne d'Arc. You can kind of put things wherever is closest and wherever is most convenient, which is nice. So going up with 7 on the food to start, followed by 4 on the gold. You see I'm rallying out there next. My opponent is doing the very typical Rus thing, which is going out with double hunting cabin openers. He's a good player. I think Tease is currently ranked Diamond 3 or Conqueror 1. And you can see he put his hunting cabins in the perfect position so that they are not overlapping in terms of their radius, which means they're getting the best possible amount of passive gold generation from these buildings here. So, going out with the 4 onto the gold and then rallying onto the food until it's time to age up. Now I did get a bit lucky here because my deer packs are kind of side by side, which means it's going to be much easier to defend from the enemy pro scouts. It means I'm going to have a better time getting pro scouts done myself. So it's pretty useful because I'm going to be using more infantry based focus here with archers and spearmen to protect these deers, as opposed to using the knights, which is more traditional from Jeanne d'Arc. And that's one of the kind of specialties of this strategy is your opponents are going to be expecting you to do what Jeanne d'Arc always does, which is a mass of knights and archers. But if you can trick them by sending out a single knight, there's only one knight that you're going to build this game, then you get a huge advantage by catching them off guard, and then they don't really know what to build against you. We'll speed things up ever so slightly here just so we can kind of start to get into the actual meat of this game itself. And you can see I come out and start building the School of Cavalry with 1 villager and 1 Jeanne d'Arc. It does mean that when she goes up to the feudal age, she's not going to be fully leveled up yet. That's okay. It's okay to spend a little bit more time. We don't need her immediately upon the age up. We're going to have that knight to go out and cause some problems. You can see that my opponent has a safe deer pack in the back here, and then he has a much less safe one in the front. I'm not going to be able to do anything about him gathering this one. That's kind of completely out of my range. But I am going to do my best to try and deny as many deer from here as I possibly can. My opponent is very typically going up with the Golden Gate, 2 tiles away from the town center, and he has a pretty solid build here of 5 on food and 8 on the wood, so he's doing a good job and kind of is doing the very traditional Rus feudal into fast castle pro scouts build. So we're going to age up here pretty quickly, and you can see that over the course of this age up I have kind of split my villagers a little bit. I've kept the 4 on gold. I've moved 5 villagers out onto the wood. I could potentially have done that, maybe 6, I think, would have been a little bit more optimal than what I did here. And then the rest are currently still on the food. I'm building this mill, and again, I think this is a mistake. This mill should have been completed before the age up was done, so that I could kind of jump directly into doing pro scouts. I make a couple small mistakes here in this early game, but you know, that's one of the things about trying a new strategy. You're not going to have it exactly down necessarily, so it is what it is, and even if you make mistakes, I still win this game very, very handily, which is nice. Jeanne d'Arc accidentally moving away, which is not ideal, but I have made just 1 single knight from this building here, and now I'm taking it across the map, hoping to kind of defend this deer pack here. You can see my opponent is already going up with professional scouts. I should be relatively close in timing with this, but I'm significantly delayed based on some of my decisions. So unfortunately, it's only just now getting queued up in that mill. I'm going up with the archery range first. And this is the correct decision because you want an archery range to deal with what your opponent is likely going to be making to deal with that one knight you have coming across the map, spears. In this case, my opponent did something different and made a stable. It's not a big deal because I will be making a barracks anyways. It just means that I will just have some archers to try and defend this deer pack first. Jeanne d'Arc is the hunter version. This is very important. You want to be the ranged version of Jeanne d'Arc in this strategy because you're going to be up against a ton of ranged units. It's all going to be horse archers. It's all going to be potentially knights in this case, in this game. And if you have the melee form of Jeanne d'Arc, you know, she's just going to get kited forever. You're never going to be able to catch up to these mounted units. So I'm here guarding this deer pack, and because of this archer in his position, I do scout out this scout here, and I start to attack it right away. He's trying to snag one of my deers just nice and early, but I'm not going to let him do that. I already have 2 archers on the way to try and cause problems. I'm over here with my knight and my scout just trying to, you know, be annoying, burn down this hunting cabin, cause some idle time. There's nowhere else I can really be doing damage. I could be kind of attacking these scouts that are working on the back, but I'm not really going to be able to get these deer anyways. And I just want to cause problems and, you know, forcing my opponent to build a wooden fortress within range of this to kind of push me off is certainly one way to do that. I mean, he's also getting the added benefit that this is increasing his lumber gather rate, but you know, it's still putting that in that position as opposed to out front is maybe just due to the fact that I'm putting this pressure at the back of the base. Here's where I see the first knight come through and I go, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. And you can see pretty quickly I react to the fact that I want to be having a barracks here. I've become pro scouting myself. I'm making non-stop scouts from the School of Cavalry up until I have 5. And I'm going out here to my deer trying to collect as many as I possibly can before he arrives. While that's happening, I'm moving forward with Jeanne d'Arc, and I do see and catch out his scouts doing some nasty business of their own trying to collect these deer. They do manage to get a fair amount of this pack. This is, again, one of his safe packs, but there's still, I think, 1 or 2. Yeah, so there's this one and this one that I do manage to kind of prevent him from taking. He does manage to kill my scout as we kind of looped around in this direction. So I'm now flying a little bit more blind, but fortunately, he's not paying attention to his multitasking. It means I am able to take down some additional scouts here and protect these 2 deer while getting a little bit of experience on Jeanne d'Arc, which is exactly what you're wanting. Another scout, I decided to bring 2 of them forward so I can grab this deer immediately so he doesn't have a chance. This one knight that I have is now distracting both of his, which is fairly handy because at the moment I still don't have a lot of spears coming out. So if these knights were over here attacking my ranged units, that would not be ideal. Trying to run my knight away. It ends up running pretty close into this area. Maybe I turn and try and get some additional experience, but you can see these scouts come through and I'm actually focused on taking the scouts down. I'm constantly using Divine Arrow to try and do some additional damage to these scouts. His knight's just kind of on autopilot. And then I have 1 spear out now, trying to do my best to take these knights down. And if I can get Jeanne d'Arc in range of this, that would be the most ideal. Protecting these scouts on the way home. I have 2 spears coming in, and I want to take this knight down immediately, as fast as I can. And luckily it does go down, and that's 24 additional experience for Jeanne d'Arc. Unfortunately, I've already used all of my charges of Divine Arrow. Would have been really handy to be able to take that one out. But you can see in my base, it's now 14 on wood, fairly significant investment. I've used my first consecration on the barracks here. And again, I'm just trying to focus on taking these down. I'm gaining such great experience from Jeanne d'Arc taking down these knights. He managed to kill 1 spear, but I've done a lot of damage. I'm now consecrating another building, another barracks this time because I'm seeing that knights is his focus. I don't really need the archers at the moment. It was to kind of counter the spears. I'm not seeing any spears, so I don't need to focus on that. He's coming around this side with his scouts trying to collect the deer, but guess what? They're all gone. Which means that I successfully took both my entire deer packs and I denied 2 deer from his side. Not amazing, but certainly better than him getting 3 or 4 deer packs, and he committed pretty significantly into the scouts. And Rus also have 3 scouts to begin with. So, or they usually build 3 scouts, so they have an advantage in that early feudal age collecting the deer on across the entire map. So, I've now collected together my forces inside of my base. I have a very nice group of deer under this town center here. I'm going up with some fitted leatherwork and I also have additional damage from ranged, because I do have a fairly significant mass of archers. And then I'm pretty sure I'm just going to take a deep breath and try to age up. You can see that, insanely, the Roost player has so much resources. And it's going up with a high trade house behind the base. So you will never be able to slow down the Roost's fast castle. They will always get there, and they will always likely get there before you, collecting a huge amount of trees from this as well. So a really good placement as well, collecting all the way up to the very edge of where he's currently mining his wood or chopping his wood. I move forward here just to kind of see a little bit more about what's going on, try and see if I can pick off a couple of units to get some additional experience on Jeanne d'Arc. It's a bit risky, and so I'm going to brace here, see if I can take down some more for some plus 24 experience. I'm using my archers to attack these archers in the back. Jeanne is now being focused. I heal up really quickly. I unfortunately leave this one knight. I should have left my spears on it. So Jeanne does go down, which is not ideal, but it's also not the worst thing. And you can see I'm starting to macro myself towards Castle Age. I have all of my kind of eco upgrades now. Wheelbarrow, Horticulture, Double Broadaxe, and Specialized Pick. I do lose the army here, but I did a significant amount of damage to his knights. So he's definitely going to be having the advantage coming into Castle Age. Probably didn't need to push that far forward. But again, getting even that little bit of amount of experience on Jeanne d'Arc is a good idea. I immediately bought her back, so she's able to consecrate buildings and continue the cooldown of this ability. If she's dead, this does not continue to charge, so it's important to buy her back if you have the ability to do so. Still building a couple of archers, because I know he's building some archers now too, and if I don't continue to have at least a small force of them, I'm just going to get completely destroyed by those. And then I have, of course, a mass of spears to deal with the knights that I know that are coming. I did make a market here just to sell some of my food. I think I was floating quite a lot. But that has now allowed me to kind of get to Castle Age and have a significant amount of gold. I move my army back. This is something that I find a lot of players make a mistake of. They create their army, and then they have their army sitting at their rally point, which is normally somewhere close to the front of their base. I make this mistake a lot too, but it's important. Have your army where you think there might be danger, where you think they might be needed. It's just as easy to have my army sitting here as it is to have my army sitting here, protecting my very vulnerable gold. I know he has knights. I know he's going to be looking for some raiding damage. He's either going to be coming here at the front, in which case I'm going to see that coming from a mile away. But here I don't have a lot of vision. It's better to have my army sitting at the back of my base just in case he's doing a flank. And what do you know? That's exactly what he's thinking about doing. So he's got his units on autopilot walking forwards, which means I take 2 very quick, easy night kills back. And more experience for JD. Definitely moving towards that strong level 3 timing. Still building spears and archers. I think I've cut production now because now when I'm moving into Castle Age, I want to change my idea. Finally get up enough resources to go to the Guild Hall, because that's what you want to do, by the way. You do not want to go Royal Institute. While getting some of those upgrades is useful for your crossbows, it's not as important as getting, you know, the royal bloodlines, which you normally would get for your knights. We're not building knights. It's not important. You can see I've not consecrated the School of Cavalry. I've only been consecrating my smaller, more infantry-based production buildings. I'm not going up with ranged armor because I did see that he had some archers, and I'm expecting some horse archers to be coming out and causing some problems. Keeping my force back here, just, you know, wanting to guard this gold. It's a vulnerable part of my economy. I think I do see these knights kind of start to come through and try to cause some problems. They might actually loop around the side, and I get caught ever so slightly, but it's not too bad. So, consecrated another building. This time it was this barracks, because I'm going to be moving into man-at-arms and arbalétrier. That is my composition kind of going forward for the rest of the game. I move back here. The knights are coming in. I throw these guys immediately in the town center. I do lose 1 villager, maybe 2 actually, from these knights trying to cause problems. Yeah, 2 go down. Not ideal, but I then move my army back forward. And it's time to build a monastery to try and grab as many relics as I can. I see that he is already coming out and grabbing them with his warrior monks, and this is what I was saying at the beginning of the game. They're so fast, they're going to be able to grab those extremely quickly. So I decide, okay, that should be safe. I'm going to go back here. Little do I know, he's coming around the far side to snag this one away from me. And I'm trying to guard this one, but little do I know this one is coming here, and the Roost player gets 5 relics this game, which is worst case scenario. But even so, I still win the game. Managed to get more experience here. Horse archers are not coming in, but I have both archers and arbaletiers to try and cause problems with those guys, and I am starting to build these man-at-arms. I have enough spears here from the feudal age that I don't need to continue to build spears against the knights themselves. He doesn't really have that many knights left. He's down to 3 because I've been doing a great job picking them off as I've been going along. But he does grab all 5 relics. I was definitely sad about that. But as you can see, take a look at the army numbers. I am 6 villagers behind as a result of, probably missing some production and then also losing 2 villagers. But I'm in kind of good shape because my army is bigger than this. And this is the strength, is that I have all of these consecrated military production buildings. My army is really, really cheap to produce. I managed to get Jeanne d'Arc upgraded to level 3, and then immediately, since you have a barracks, you absolutely should be getting this companion equipment upgrade. We have probably just a little bit of a fight here, and then I'm going to tell you a bit more about that. But here it comes. I do get caught out ever so slightly by this. The knights and the crossbows are here. The Jeanne d'Arc is fully set up, and I start mowing through his units. Sure, he has some horse archers, but I literally can just kind of run through him. And now it's 42 army to 14. He starts to panic and wall up his entire base because he realizes that I have a pretty significant force. He's used to making these horse archers and then being able to kite my knights, but I have these ranged units that are able to fight back significantly. You want companions equipment because it increases Jeanne's health and damage by 25% and gets her an additional armor, increases the her Jeanne's champions as well. And this brings Jeanne to, if you recall back when Jeanne d'Arc was first released, it brings her to the level that she was when she reached level 3 back then, when she was absolutely broken. So you definitely want to get that as soon as you can. I'm also getting all of my Iron Undermesh level 2 damage. I also have additional ranged damage because I know that's what's going to be dealing with these horse archers. And I just start running in. And this is the thing, I sense blood in the water at this point. I know I'm significantly ahead. He has 5 relics, so the longer this game goes, the worse it is for me. But I have extremely strong man-at-arms that can sit under this town center. They're doing no damage. This is the one that's getting fired on. It's literally taking no damage at all from the TC. And I can sit here and start to idle out his economy in a big way. If I was him, I would have immediately used the Golden Gate to buy stone to get a Springleton placement here, but he doesn't do that, which means that I'm able to run through his entire economy with 10 villagers idle and kill a huge majority of his forces. 10 villagers idle and then a bunch more running away. So he runs through this gate here that I see. I'm not going to be able to do much about that. So what do? He turns back to do a little bit more damage, but I'm very happy to turn around and take this fight. Jeanne's still getting a lot of experience. I turn around, start researching siege engineering so I can maybe start to, take this town center down. He's down to 8 military and I'm up to 49, and you can see I am marching my man-at-arms and arbaletiers across the map. There's another knight down. There's another knight down. You can see that this town center is focusing on JD and is tickling her with the smallest amount of possible damage. Turn around, kill this horse archer. This town center is focusing on this while my man-at-arms are able to sit under the TC with more coming and do a ton of damage. So this game completely turned on its head very quickly. It went from being like, oh, it's relatively even, to all of a sudden I am absolutely slaughtering this Roost player. And I see that I'm, taking some additional damage. Maybe it's time to get JD out of there. I've already used Divine Restoration, so there's no heal coming in. So I move her a little bit further away. She's already tanked hundreds and hundreds of arrow shots at this point. So I walk. I actually get a bit confused. My key bindings get rebound, but then I decide, you know what, JD? Go over here and capture this sacred site. Get some additional experience with that, and I'm going to leave the majority of my army here to burn this town center down. Because he's at 11 military now. That's nothing. He has the majority of his force is honestly just like warrior monks. So his TC goes down. That is massive. He's now not producing villagers, so I'm going to be able to catch up to those very quickly. And you can see that now all I have to do is keep walking into the base. I have another huge force of man-at-arms that are ready to sit. There's now no longer anything that's hurting me. And he's panic trying to repair his town center, but there's literally nothing that he can do. And this game is over. So there you go. This was a game where the Roost player got a lot of what they wanted, close to 2 deer packs, all 5 relics, got up to castle, made their classic knight horse archer composition, and was immediately destroyed in early Castle Age. Like, it wasn't even close. I'm going to see if I can scroll back. So I just wanted to take a quick second at the end of the game here to jump back to my base to show you that I have all of these infantry-based military buildings consecrated. So that means that 3 barracks and 3 archery ranges are now producing man-at-arms at 75 food and 20 gold, and arbalétrier at 60 food and 40 gold. So a massive discount there. Now, I did make a mistake. Don't be like me. Don't do this. But please research Ordnance Company from the blacksmith pretty early on in Castle Age, because that also reduces the cost of wood and gold by 25% for your units. So I could have had even more units at the front here pouring into my enemy's base if I had researched that, and would have been even more of a destruction, as they say. So that has been my Jeanne d'Arc guide versus the Rus. I hope you find this helpful and you can use it yourself on the ladder. It's a strategy that I've been implementing, and I find now if I run into a Rus player, it's no longer, oh no. It's like, oh sweet, okay, this will be an easy W because I have this tool in my tool belt that can easily deal with exactly what they're trying to do. So hopefully you find this useful. Thank you again so much for watching. Looking forward to creating some more AoE 4 guides going forward. And yeah, we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.